Hi there. In this video I'm going to be talking about image correction for the scenic gen images. So what do I mean by that? Taking it from Lightroom and into Photoshop and to a final file. And I've got a very, I would say, scientific and specific method of tackling images that I've developed over thousands of images, and I've got it to a point where the following techniques, which I'm going to go through, virtually will work for all images. It's certainly a good starting point, and you'll come to learn what an image needs after a while. But I'm going to go through the full list of controls, both that I potentially use both in Lightroom and Photoshop, and so you'll have a very solid grounding in what to do and in what order to do it. I've seen many images done by other so-called professionals, and sometimes they spend too long, they mask things that don't need to be masked. It needs to be as quick and as simple as possible. Now, having said that, it does take a little bit of time to go through the whole process, but it's not to say that every image needs everything that I'm going to go through. But having said that, if you did go through everything that I'm about to go through for any image, it will improve it remarkably. It's a matter of balancing your time. I'm not opposed to you spending a considerable amount of time on any image to make it look better. So let's start with the methods that I use step by step, starting with this image. So this image I've chosen because it has a fair amount of difference between the highlights and the dark tones. So it's a fairly tricky image. I wouldn't say it's the trickiest. It's not going to present too many problems. It's not blown out. It has all the information in the dark, so I can see the dots in the back of this guy's shirt. So it's not an overly difficult image, but it's still got enough in it to go through all of the different tools that and selections that and we'll see some improvement from those. So, okay, so starting with, let's go through Lightroom. Now in Lightroom, this is a RAW file, and as such, we're going to get a fair amount of latitude, I suppose, or changes by editing the RAW file direct in Lightroom. So to start with, it's essentially coming to this tone palette here, and I generally leave the temperature where it is and the tint where it is, where it's come straight out of the camera. Most cameras generally get those things good enough, and we're going to basically do this job anyway via all of these. So there's no real need to touch that. So to start with, we'll go to exposure. Now I'm going to adjust this exposure so that so properly exposed is probably about there. It's looking at the highlights and not wanting to blow out the highlights. If I push this up, we can start to see the clouds get lost. Even further, you can see the clouds really get lost, and that information is gone once we output the file. So we don't want to overexpose the file because we are going to push the image in Photoshop. So Lightroom is more about preparing the image for Photoshop, not getting it necessarily looking brilliant in Lightroom, but correcting a few things in preparation for Photoshop. So I'm actually going to just bring it down a touch, so about there. So it's a little bit under in terms of the sky, and we can see all the detail that's there. Contrast, we can play around with the contrast a little bit, but once again, under is best. Sometimes I don't even touch these two if it's fairly close, because all of these are going to correct these two once again. So with highlights, generally I want to pull the highlights down a little bit just to knock out the luminance out of the sky, so that I've got the full range of colours and contrasts and everything that are in that sky. Shadows, pretty much always we want to move this slider up, and this is one of the biggest reasons. This single slider is one of the biggest reasons to use Lightroom, because what it's doing is it's editing the raw file and taking out selectively or it's boosting the exposure of a particular area of the photo, and that's in the shadows. And remarkably, I've been able to take out a whole gamut of darkness in this whole area here without blowing out the sky, and that's the power of a raw file. Generally it's in the 70 to 100% by the time I'm finished with it. Sometimes, you know, I could pull it all the way out there really, but sometimes it's just good to have a little bit of tonal variance, because we are going to boost this and we don't want it to look too contrasty later on. So look, now I'm settling on about 83, so I'm happy with that. Next, whites. Once again, this one can be virtually end up anywhere, but once again with a focus on it just being under a proper exposure. And black, once again, we don't want to go perfectly dark, which would be about there. We just want to bring it back a little bit, so that we've got a full gamut of detail for Photoshop. So it's a slightly flat file. It's certainly not contrasty with that kind of adjustment. Now clarity, dehaze, vibrance, saturation. The only one here that I use, because we're virtually going to do clarity, vibrance, saturation in Photoshop. We don't want to push the image in these at all for now. So dehaze though is a good one for virtually tackling the horizon. If we convert, you can see very much here that we're getting a good amount of detail in the horizon there by bringing the dehaze up. And what it's done is it's darkened this area a little bit. So we might just go back up to the blacks and potentially just bring that back a bit. Might have another look at dehaze. Happy with it there. And another look in here. Okay, so those two in tandem have produced quite a pleasing result. So, moving on, we'll come down to the second tone curve. So this one works very similar to the top one, but it is quite different in the way that it tackles the image, and it can give further enhancement. So just starting from the top, and I can see that I'm getting rid of a little bit of I'm making the clouds clearer. There's less grey matter by pushing this a little bit, and I'm not blowing out the sky. I'm looking at the details and I'm not blowing out the sky. So I'm happy to push that one up a little bit. Still have all the detail. This one I can see I'm starting to blow out the sky straight away. The detail's starting to be lost, so I don't want to go over with that one. I'll bring that one just slightly under and leave that one there. For the darks, I'm pretty happy with it just not being touched. because if I bring it down, I'm starting to, if I went overboard, you can see that the detail here is lost. So I'm quite happy with it being at 0 for this one. And okay, shadows, I can actually see I'm getting a little bit of detail back, or a little bit of what would you say? I mean, if I pull it down, you can see what's happening with that guy's shirt once again starting to all fill in, but I'm starting to lighten this area and get some detail there so that there's less variance in between the shadows and the highlights. Might just go back to the darks and have another quick look. Okay, so I'm happy with that. The next part is coming into detail. So in detail, we're going to zoom in on an area that has particular, I need to zoom in on this. Okay, so I've got the image now zoomed in. Now that this is zoomed in more than what the final image will be, and that's good because we want to really see the pixels that are going on here. Now, the main area in this image that I would say noise is going to appear is in this girl's legs in the dark region here, and sharpness of these two people would be important as well. Also looking at just the overall details up here. So I'll leave the image there, and I'll bring in some sharpening. So to start with, I can see that that's sharpened it up quite a bit already, and I'm looking at the moment up in this area here. The reason I'm looking up there is because that area is out of focus in the camera. Now, that's looking, I can actually get away with quite a lot of sharpening in this photo. Some images, every image is different obviously. Now I'm going to tackle the radius, and it's really just eyeballing it and seeing what works best. Detail. Okay, so I'm happy with that. To preview what's just been applied, you can turn off here and then back on. And I can see that we've got a huge amount of sharpening out of this image for essentially not a lot of noise. It's a very well exposed image. Other images will have will be a lot worse, but anyway, that's the nature of this image here. So sometimes we get some color noise. Once again, this one hasn't been too much of a problem. So essentially you want to apply as little color noise that will get rid of the color, because if you start sliding it up too much, this green area here is starting to turn into a grayscale really. It's starting to turn very grey, whereas if I bring it back, we get a lot more color definition in here. I can see that there's a little bit of color noise is mainly red, so I can see there's a little bit of red color noise in there. So if I just bring it up slightly, it doesn't take a lot to get rid of that. You can play around with detail as well, but this image, because there's not a heck of a lot of color noise, I don't need to at the moment. So that's essentially it for Lightroom and color adjusting in Lightroom. I'm happy with that image. That's ready now for Photoshop. In a following video, I should say, we'll go through the Photoshop process.